What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. Halloween is over. Uh, Hope you guys didn't go overboard with the candy, stealing the kids' candy. Just figured I'd pop in and see what was up, see if anybody's around, talk a little bit. Um, so today's Halloween. Halloween is over, which means we officially start the holiday season, right? Because before you know it, it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, the whole thing, right? Um, Thanksgiving, I'm sorry, Halloween kicks it off. We get that big, we get that big burst of sugar, gets us going, and then we're in overdrive all the way through to the beginning of the new year, right? And then we all start with the new year, new me stuff. Everybody's gonna turn it around. But I was thinking we all have these excuses. We talk about them time and time again. Everybody has the same excuses for not doing it. Why you can't keep yourself in shape, why you don't exercise. It's so hard to instill healthy habits into your life, but it's so easy to keep the bad habits in your life because they don't take much work. They don't take much work. They don't take much effort, um, because those bad habits pretty much are ingrained in us from the time we're kids. We grow up thinking, again, we talk about, I always use the word indoctrinated, and I don't think that's too strong a word because we really are. We're made to believe that eating the way we do, overeating the way we do, eating the type of foods that we do, um, that sense of deprivation when you don't get to eat these type of things. Well, I'm not living my full life if I don't get. I have my grandson is a year and a half. It's just a year and a half, and today was really the first time, obviously, that they had him out I keep saying Thanksgiving, on Halloween. Uh, and they just had them out amongst kids. They had him in his little costume and all. But everybody was just trying to, let him have a piece of candy, let him have candy. Oh, come on. And my daughter wasn't having it. So obviously she's the oddball. She's depriving. How could you deprive that kid on Halloween of his chocolate, you know, of his candy corn and whatever else, of his Kit Kats and Hershey bars? But she's trying not to start that because it's just, and in other words, like as you get older, you're not going to have a sense of deprivation because it's not going to be the norm for you to be eating like this. It's not to say that you can never have a piece of candy, a piece of cake in your life, but it starts with, I say it all the time, it's a vicious cycle because most of us, grew up, and I know I raised my kids like that. I thought it was normal to eat like that. I thought it was normal. It's Halloween, they have to have the candy. It's Thanksgiving, we have to eat like pigs. It's Christmas all through the year. And I was, you know, all through my career, I went to office parties and holiday parties, and you think that that's the norm. Um, but it's the norm is to try and keep yourself, is to be healthy. The norm isn't to have these chronic conditions that we all have, that we all deal with. And we're told that you're supposed to get it. You're 40 now, you're 50 now, you're 60 now, you're supposed to get it. We're supposed to get old. Nobody's going to change that. But we're not supposed to be sick. We're not supposed to be immobile. We're not, our bodies, inflammation running through our bodies and not mobile. And it's that's not the norm. That's not what we're supposed to do. Shout out to Scotland. What's up, Freshie? How you doing? All good. No candy fresh, that's for sure. George, you got to start pushing, start doing the push-ups. Do something, right? That's what I was just talking about. We got to do something. Oh, the bread will get you fresh. The bread will get you, my friend. Yeah, and the alcohol. I told you've probably heard me talk about it. I think it's if not the best, close to the best decision I've ever made in my life was to get rid of the alcohol because it's just no good comes of it. No good comes of it. I can go back to pretty much every bad thing that happened in my life, and alcohol was somehow involved in it. Somehow involved in it. You know, if it wasn't me, if it didn't happen to me, it happened to somebody I knew or a family member. Um, so, if it wasn't alcohol, it was some type of drug. You know, so. But yeah, guys. So here we are. It's Halloween, right? It's over. We got that. We got our sugar rush, um, and now it starts. Now it starts, right? Um, we're going to go straight through till the end of the year, and that's the other thing. People fully expect they give themselves that little bit of a cushion, and they say, well, it's okay if I can get from Halloween until January 1st and only gain 5 to 10 pounds. They look at it as a win. If you only gain 5 to 10 pounds in a couple of months, you look at it as a win, and that's not a good way to look at it. That's definitely not a good. It's not a good strategy. It's not a. There's no reason why. I don't care what time of year it is. You shouldn't be putting on, 5 to 10 pounds in 6 or 8 weeks. That's you're not doing something right if that happens. If that's going on. So yeah, fresh. I'm a fan of not the meditation. I toyed with that at some point, trying it out. But yoga, I do semi regularly. Um, and I tell you, it's sobering when you do yoga. It's very sobering. You'll realize how you might think that you're a little flexible and a little pliable, but you get into a couple of those yoga positions and you realize, again, it's a slap in the face when you do it. But I tell you, if you do it with any regularity, uh, it works. It's the fountain of youth for sure. Because when you start loosening things up, it's like the Wizard of Oz when that Tin Man hit that oil can and then he started moving. It's the same thing with the yoga. You do that regularly, and you're gonna feel much better. You know. Yeah, it helps all around. It really does. It just helps you feel better. Um, and I tell you what, people don't think that that's a workout. That's a serious yoga is a serious workout. I've done that, and you're a couple of minutes into that, and you're in a complete flop sweat. So it's not like you're not doing anything. Um, but it's a great feeling. Even on your off days, days that you're not going to do any type of resistance training, and you do that, and it does help all around. It helps with your range of motion with everything else that you do. You know, so it's good stuff. It's definitely good stuff. Um, but that's one piece of the puzzle, right? One piece of the puzzle, the flexibility and mobility. You do stuff like yoga. You have to do some type of resistance training. You have to keep the muscle on your body, build muscle on your body. It's one of the healthiest things you could do. And it all is always going to come back to the diet. You want to be, if you want to build the muscle and you want to reduce the inflammation in your body, you don't want to be eating a highly inflammatory diet with all of these processed foods and processed carbs and things like that. You want to stick to the whole food as much as you can. So again, it's an all-encompassing approach. You want to get a little bit of everything in there. And we always say it. We always say it. We're not going to be perfect. Nobody's going to be perfect. But if you could do that, 75, 80% of the time, you're going to come out ahead of the game for sure. Um, well, it depends on what you did to it, fresh. I mean, if you strained it, if you pulled it, I would certainly lay off it for um, at least a few days and see what happens, see which way it goes. If it starts to feel better, then you're going to realize, well, it's not something too serious. But if it seems to be getting worse over time, then obviously it's going to be something a little more serious. But that's usually my strategy. A couple of weeks ago, I had an issue with my wrist, so obviously I had to lay off it for a couple of days. But thankfully, over the course of 2, 3, 4 days, I felt I was in some pain, but the pain was going down a little bit, right? So same thing there. Whatever you did to the pec, if it was uh, something that's not too serious, you'll notice over the course of 3, 4, 5 days, maybe by the end of a week. But if it seems to be getting worse, or that pain level stays the same for an extended amount of time, then that's something that you really have to get looked at. But yeah, injuries are they're part of the game. I mean, I wake up every single day and I do something. I tweak something. I hurt something. My elbow is always giving me issues. Now it's the thumb, and but you work around it. You work around it, but you do it. At some point, you have to admit defeat and say, "Hey, I really did injure something." But a lot of it is just stuff that you just kind of tweak, and it's something that you can work around for a few days or until that heals up. But again, if whatever pain level that you're at, or for me, again with the wrist, I wasn't able to move it a little bit, and I had the pain, but I noticed, all right, the next day a little better, the next day a little bit. So I said, okay, whatever it is. So now I'm just going to give it a little time, and it seems like it's going to heal on its own. Uh, there's always a workaround, but you have to that again. That too comes with knowing your body. You have to know your body. Yeah, fresh. Again, we talk about that. You're never gonna wake up every single day, and if I didn't work out every day, I didn't feel like working out, I'd never work out, because it's very rare that I get up and say, "Wow, I really want to do it today." There's always something in my mind saying, maybe I'll take the day off, maybe I won't do it." The odd thing is, I find when I get into the gym, warm up a little bit, and even on the days when I'm just not feeling it, those are the days I have some of my best workouts. So it's a mental game. It really is a mental game, because you may be telling yourself that you're tired, I feel low energy or whatever, but I feel 1,000% better when I do it. Once I get moving, and then I realize that it's not a physical thing, right? It's not that I'm physically not able to go do it. It's that my mind is playing tricks on me, telling me not to do it. And if you can overcome that, uh, then you have it beat right there. But you gotta outwit your own mind in a sense. You know, Dylan, how many steps? I mean, it depends. If you're looking, uh, from a strictly health, for your cardiovascular health, from a health standpoint, as many as you can. But you have to be realistic. How many can you really get in? Depends on what kind of job you do. But if you're getting in 8 to 10,000, I think that puts you in the front of the pack for sure. So if you can do something like that, but again, you're going to do whatever you can. Um, but if you can get that 8 to 10,000, and again, if you have nutrition dialed in, again, it all depends on what is your goal. If it's strictly losing body fat, I would definitely suggest you get up there towards that 10,000 mark, 8 to 10,000. But at the end of the day, any kind of movement is going to help you. And are you doing any type of resistance training, or is the cardio, or you're walking, your only form of exercise? And that There's no problem with that. There's certainly no problem with that. But you should be doing some type of resistance, and resistance could come from weights. You could be in the gym. You could be at home with some dumbbells, with some resistance bands, or just doing body weight work. It's all resistance. You know. Uh, Post workout meal. I generally have 2 meals a day, and I don't specifically plan my workouts and my meals around each other. If I work out in the morning, uh, generally I'll eat, a couple of hours after I work out. Not always right after. I don't feel like eating right after I work out. For instance, today, I'll give you today's example. I hit the gym this morning, I guess about maybe 6 or 7 o'clock, and I wound up having my first meal right about maybe 11 o'clock this morning. That consisted of what I have: 6 eggs, a little bit of cheese, uh, some turkey bacon, and then I had some fruit. I had some dates, an apple, with some Greek yogurt, and those are really the staples in my diet. I eat a lot of fruit. I talk about it all the time. I'm big on eggs, meat. I eat a lot of red meat, some chicken. I'm sporadic with the chicken. I like sardines, a lot of Greek yogurt, Icelandic yogurt, skyr, plenty of fruit and vegetables. I throw in whenever I'm inclined to do it, and I have them. Some tomatoes, some onions, broccoli, whatever it is. Sweet potato, and I also like sweet potato. I do sweet potato pretty regularly. But today, I worked out. I got done maybe 7 or 8 in the morning. Ate my first meal about 11 a.m. And again, that was eggs, a little bit of cheese, everything I just said there. Um, and dinner was some ground beef with some vegetables, some more yogurt, and some more fruit, and that was it. I don't eat anything in between. Occasionally, very rarely, I may throw in protein shake in the middle of the day. It doesn't happen too often, but every once in a while I will. Well, the time that you work out, what's the best time to work out? Whenever you can. I see. I tell you what, I see a lot of heavy lifters this morning. Uh, you get a pretty good crowd at the gym from between, say, like 5 and 7, and then it thins out. I guess people going to work by 7 a.m. But there's no shortage of heavy lifters at the gym. Uh, I see it all the time. So I don't buy into all this bullshit that this is the best time. I have read that they said that your energy levels, or your strength levels might be a little stronger in the mid to late afternoon, and all the science aside, you just do it whenever you can. It depends on your lifestyle. If you can if you cannot do it in the morning, and for some reason you feel better doing it in the afternoon, then go do it. You know, um, but I think you're way overthinking that stuff when you get into, I have to work out at a certain time, and that whole anabolic window. As soon as I get done working out, I have an hour to shoot a bunch of protein and carbs into my body for that anabolic window, so I can get the most muscle protein synthesis, and just over the course of the day, over the course of the week and the month and your life, just eat the best food you can find, good quality food. Get a good amount of protein in your diet. We always want to prioritize the protein, and exercise whenever you can, as often as you can. Um, then, if you want to start digging down and getting into the minutia, exactly how much should I do of this and how much. Well, go ahead. If you're inclined to do that and you have the time to do it. But other than that, it's just do it when you can. Do it when you can, and eat. And again, look at your other lifestyle habits. You got to cut down on the booze. You got to make sure that you have a relatively good sleep pattern and things like that, because it does matter. It does matter. Magda, isn't it past your bedtime? Villain, you definitely want to be taking some vitamin D. I do. I alternate between 5 and 10,000 units a day. So if I take 5,000 today, I'll take 10,000 tomorrow. And that's how I do it. Because I know for sure I don't get enough sun, especially now. I'm in New Jersey, and I think what is it tomorrow? And then tomorrow's Friday. No, it's this Saturday night, right? We're going to push those clocks back, so we're going to have even less sunlight. So yeah, you definitely have to make sure you maintain that vitamin D level. I take a little bit of zinc. Um, Omega. If you're not eating any type of good fish, like I said, sardines are pretty much a staple in my diet. So I don't supplement with fish oil because I think I'm getting enough with the amount of sardines. I eat a good amount of sardines. So, but I would definitely, without a doubt, everybody should be taking vitamin D. Probably a little bit of zinc when we're talking about our testosterone. Now, the thing with the zinc is, if you're deficient in zinc, it could it could affect your testosterone levels, right? That doesn't mean that the more zinc you take, the higher your testosterone is going to be. But it's good to take it just to ensure that you're not deficient in the vitamin D and that your body is producing enough testosterone. So it's going to help with that. So the vitamin D, a little bit of zinc. I do 15 milligrams of zinc a day. You can do 15, 30. It all depends. If you're not eating some fatty fish on a semi-regular basis, I would definitely be doing some fish oil. Um, you want to eat some eggs, things like that. But then you also have to look at the things that are causing your testosterone to tank. It's booze, beer. Beer is very estrogenic, right? So you got to look out for that. If you're a big beer drinker, and I was for many years, I drank a good amount of beer. Um, your stress levels, and we talk about that all the time. Well, just cut out the stress. Well, easier said than done, but one of the biggest causes of stress in everybody's life is people. Is people, right? So you have people in your life. If it's a friend, an acquaintance, or somebody that you pal around with, and they're giving you a lot of stress, you got to cut them, get them out of your life. I just had a conversation with a good friend of mine the other day, who has a family member that it's just his stress level is through the roof because of his family member. I told him, you gotta have a talk and say, look, enough's enough. Um, so yeah, if it's a family member, you minimize your time. If you can't cut them out of your life completely, you got to minimize the time with them as much as you can and stand up for yourself. Sleep patterns will help to destroy your testosterone levels. So you got to look out for that. So again, if you say, like, what supplements should it take, it's, if I take the supplements, I also want to get rid of the things that are going to cause the testosterone to tank. And if I do that, and then I add in the good habits, the things I should be doing, resistance training, right? You want to do some compound moves, really any type of regular resistance training. It's going to help with testosterone production. So if you do those good things, but you also have to look to take out, what am I doing uh, that's causing the testosterone to tank, right? So if you can work on that stuff and then do the supplementation, eat right, eat a whole food diet, all of this junk food too. There's a lot of things that go into it, so you have to, it's important. As a guy, I mean, I don't have to tell you how important it is to have good testosterone levels. So it's something that you really have to put some time and effort into. Villain, the soreness after you weight train, that goes with the territory for the most part. That shows that you're working. Uh, as long as it's just general muscle soreness and not an injury, right? We're not talking an injury. We're talking DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, which if you have a good workout, if you push yourself, if you work a muscle group that you haven't worked in a while, it's almost guaranteed you're going to have some soreness. A lot of times, it'll be that it'll take a day or two for it to set in, right? But you'll know that, But and I always say it's good and it shows that you worked, if you have that soreness. As long as you didn't injure anything, and most of the time that's all it is just that soreness. But I think the problem is when most of us do that and we get that soreness, that we say, oh, this, my legs, I can't sit on a bowl, now I can't do anything, so I'm just going to rest up. Fresh was asking earlier, I think yoga, stretching is one of the best things that you could do. You have to just tear, it's going to hurt initially when you start stretching and start moving your body, but it's amazing what that stretching will do, for that for that muscle soreness. And then heat, a hot shower. If you're inclined to take a bath, a hot bath with some Epsom salts if it's that bad. Um, but generally, for muscle soreness, you want to use heat. Um, we're not talking injuries, but if it was some type of injury where you had swelling and things like that, that's where you would want to use like cold compresses and things like that. But generally, for muscle soreness, we're going to go with, definitely, I'm a big proponent of the stretching, and I think it helps a lot. And I think, again, that initial, you know, jolt that you get from doing it, but after a while, moving your body, stretching it out, you're going to see how that it's really going to help with that muscle soreness for sure. And again, the heat, a hot shower or something. Fresh, how often do here and there? I did some. Did I do them today? No. A lot of times my go-tos are hanging knee raises and knee raises on the parallel bars. And then of late, I've been trying to do straight leg raises. So those are pretty much my two go-to moves. And a lot of times I don't like to stand around between sets. So depending on what I'm working, I'll hop on the bar and do a few sets of knee raises or leg raises. But semi-regularly, I don't have a specific today's ab day. You know what I mean? If I get done with the workout and I still have a little gas left in the tank, I'll do 100 reps or a couple hundred reps on, of the knee raises, leg raises, some combination of that. Um, but yeah, I don't have a specific answer for you. I do abs 3 days a week or 4 days a week. It's kind of whenever, but I like to get them in semi regularly when I think about it. Yeah, fresh. What do they say, right? Genetics loads the gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger, right? So we're all genetically inclined, some in some way, shape, or form. Uh, we're not genetically inclined to be 500 pounds or 400 pounds. We're not genetically inclined to be walking around, with all these chronic lifestyle issues that we have. You know, we have a body type. Like I said, I was talking the other day. You might be a mesomorph, endomorph, ectomorph, some combination of that. You have a certain body type, a certain build, things like that. You might have a certain genetic predisposition towards some type of disease, whatever. But I certainly believe that most of us today, regardless of our genetics, lifestyles, and our habits, and if we clean it up, who knows, maybe we can ward off some type of genetic predisposition that we do have. You don't know, but I'm certainly not going to sit around and say, well, my grandfather had A, B, C, and D, so that means I'm going to get it. So fuck it, I'm just going to drink and eat however I want because I'm going to get that anyway. You know, I think that's a ridiculous way to look at it. Young, I'm kind of all over the place with that. There was a time a while back when I was really advocating full body workouts. I had if you go back on my channel, I probably have a bunch. I was doing a lot of full body workouts. Now I basically, of late, I've been pretty much on a pretty much like a push pull, and then maybe one day will be like legs and shoulders. Or the other day I did shoulders. This morning was just I did some leg moves. But I like to split it up. But there's a place for everything. And again, it's going to depend on how often you do it. So let's say you can legitimately only dedicate 3 days a week to working out. In that case, I would advocate a full body routine, right? Because let's say you only have 3 days a week to work out. So let's say it's Monday, and you say, well, today I'm going to do chest and tri, right? Chest and triceps, and then Wednesday you'll do back and biceps, and then something happens, you miss a day or whatever. You can go a week and a half without hitting your chest and triceps again. So if you can legitimately only dedicate 3 days a week to working out, I would say do like some type of full body routine. Um, if you're somebody who's hitting it 4 or 5 days a week, then obviously it would behoove you to probably split it up because if 5 days a week, you're not going to do an all-out full body workout for the most part because you do have to rest at some point. So again, it depends on your goals. What are you looking to do? What type of workouts are you doing? If you're doing strictly body weight workouts, I think you have a little more leeway. If you wanted to do a full body routine. But if you're in the gym and you're trying to go heavy, then you definitely want to split it up. You don't want to be going heavy with every body part, every day. So you really have to look at your circumstance. How much time are you consistently dedicating towards the workouts, and what type of workouts are you doing? So there is a place for all of it, but you have to look at your specific uh, circumstance. I am a big fan of the supersets because I don't like the idea of standing around, so I like to kind of keep myself moving a little bit. Uh, so the supersets definitely they occupy my time, and I feel like I get a little more done in less time. But I'm very antsy when I'm standing around looking at that clock waiting to do the next set. So I have to go do something else in the meantime. Oh yeah, definitely. Seven is the man. Chris is a great guy. Make sure you check out my friend Seven Fitness, guys. My friend Chris, Seven Fitness, Seven, Seven Fitness. He spells it out. He's based over in Long Island, New York. He's very inspiring. He's a hardworking guy, but he's out there getting it in every day. And he does the right thing, and he's the first to admit he's not perfect. He does his best with his diet. Um, but yeah, he's definitely a good guy. Check him out for some inspiration. You like the fresh? What are you doing with the lats? Are you doing pull downs? Are you on the machines? Are you doing pull ups? You doing body weight stuff? Yeah, I used to back in the day, fresh. Okay, you're doing your pull downs. Good. Make sure you switch it up. Make sure you're going wide. Make sure you're doing some things like that. Um, but yeah, shrugs used to be my thing. I used to go really heavy on the shrugs. Now I throw them in occasionally, and if I do them now, it's only with I do them with the dumbbells. Um, but back in the day, I was big. I used to like the shrugs. But that's the other thing too. I'm not. There are some people. I always talk about the guys in the gym that have the marble notebooks. The pages are all dog-eared. I honestly saw a guy this morning, and he was working out, and everything was going in a notebook. Everything was going in a notebook. After every set, he was marking it down. So these are the guys that I could say, today's, you know, what Thursday, October 31st. I could say, what did you do back on June 2nd? What was your workout? I guarantee he could flip through those pages and tell me exactly what he did, how many reps, how many sets, what body part he worked, which is good. I mean, there's a place for that, but I'm definitely not that guy. I'm kind of like all over the place, but it's okay. But, again, it's what's sustainable for you. If you're the type of guy that, and you could, if that keeps you going, recording everything and knowing what you did and watching your progress, and that's, that does help when you see, if you set a little goal, you know what I mean. I want to be able to bench this. I want to be able to, deadlift that. I want to be able to do this many pull-ups, but by this date. That's good when you set those goals, and that keeps you going, right? That's what that'll keep motivating you. But for me now, it's just a matter of, I just kind of go in and do what I like doing. I always talk about now the body weight stuff, the calisthenics. I wish years ago that I realized the benefits that you can get from this stuff. Uh, from the body weight stuff. But you live and learn, and now I incorporate it all the time. I love doing it. I love being outside in the parks. But again, I'll never give up my gym membership. I'm not saying that. They could be fresh. They could be. Um, if you're gonna go heavy with the barbell, with that, even with dumbbells too, that you're kind of in a compromised position with the lower back. Um, maybe do, if you have an issue with your lower back, you might want to go with one arm rows, one arm dumbbell rows, where you're kind of stabilizing yourself on the bench. That's going to put less stress on that lower back, because you could really, and let's be honest, most of us, the ego is always going to come into play. So we're looking to go, let me try and go a little bit heavier. Um, so yeah, you could definitely, I'm not a fan of them. To be honest with you, I haven't done those in quite some time. I have, I mean, I've done pretty much everything over the years, but that's one thing. That's one of the exercises where I feel the return on investment. I'd rather get on the bar now and do the chin ups. Do some neutral grip pull ups and things like that. But to me, the return on investment with those heavy rows, especially the barbell rows, I just think that the lower back, you're just kind of compromising yourself a little bit. I'm not saying that they're dangerous or you shouldn't do them, but for me, I'm talking from my standpoint. I can see what you're saying, that they could be, but again, anything could be risky if you do it wrong, right? But that's definitely one of the ones where um, I kind of they're just not part of my arsenal anymore, to be honest with you. Yeah, good point there. Good point there. You could do, yeah. There's always a workaround. There's always a workaround, But again, what you have access to, if you're a gym guy, um, you know, and you have the benches, you have the bars. Um, but again, there's always, at the end of the day, there's always a way. Uh, there's always an alternative for what you want to work. It's not like, oh shit, I can't do barbell rows, so I can't work my back. Right? There's a million other ways to do it. Um, and the other thing too is, you know, a lot of times with that, again, you're looking at guys with the form. And the ego, again, our ego always gets in every aspect of life, our ego gets us in trouble. So if you're going too crazy with the weight, your form is going to break down on any exercise, really. So then you're really, increasing the risk of injury there. But if you're smart, if you're experienced, if you know how to do the exercise, it's perfectly fine. And you know your limitations, right? You know how much you can lift. You know how much you really should be lifting. Um, Go online and see these gym fail videos, right? You see some of these clowns. So yeah, our ego gets us in trouble. But if you're smart, I don't think they're not. Barbell rows are no more dangerous than any other exercise if you do them right, and you know what I mean. And if you keep your form in check and don't let your ego get you in trouble. So yeah, guys, that's when we talk about our overall health, this is all part of it. What we're talking about, the gym stuff, uh, it's always going to be the nutrition, but like here, we're just here going back and forth about the exercises and what different things that we all do. It's all part of the learning process. We're all learning. I'm 61. I'm still learning every single day. You're never going to know it all. A lot of us think we do. Most 18-year-olds think they know it all. You know, so you got to keep the ego in check, and at the end of the day, it's keep yourself healthy, keep yourself strong, keep yourself safe, and then you could pass that on. You know, because listen, we're all going to get hit. We're all going to get punched in the face in life. You know, but it's because you're healthy and strong and living a healthy lifestyle doesn't mean you're not going to deal with adversity in life, but you're going to be much better equipped to do it if you keep yourself healthy, right? Yeah, I do. Fresh. As a matter of fact, um, yeah, I always incorporate hammer curls when I do my biceps. Uh, a lot of times I'll alternate. I'll do a set of straight curls. I use the dumbbells. I'll do a straight set of curls, and I'll go to hammers. Yeah, I always hit my hammer curls. As a matter of fact, the other day we talked about injuring ourselves or having these things. I have something going on with my thumb here, and for some reason the dumbbell curls were just I was getting a little bit of pain doing it. I switched over to the hammer curls. Everything was good. So that day, everything I do was hammer curls. But yeah, I love the hammer curls for sure. I think you should always incorporate them. I did not have a pizza on my 61st birthday. I actually I had a steak dinner on my 61st birthday, to be honest. Not that I'm averse to having a nice pizza, but it just so happens that on that day I didn't. But I told you before, I do. I do have my occasional pizza. No, I'm not a. I'm not a. No, I like thin crust pizza. To be honest with you, this is my favorite. Some type of thin crust pizza. At the end of the day, I'll eat whatever I can get when it comes to pizza. But given a choice, I'm going to go with some type of thin crust pizza. But there again, guys, I mean, I grew up eating pizza. I think I know I mentioned it on a channel before. When I was a kid, I worked over in New York City in Manhattan on Third Avenue in a pizzeria all throughout high school, actually. And so I grew up on pizza. I love it, but I don't eat it all the time. And again, I try to keep my diet in check for the most part. Uh, so I don't hesitate. If I want to go have some pizza, um, I'll have it, you know. And it's, again, like I say to guys, if you're doing the right thing 80% of the time, you fuck up that 20% of the time, it's probably not going to set you back. But if you think you're going to do the wrong thing 80% of the time, and then 20% of the time trying to clean up your act and say, hey, look at me, I'm doing great, don't bother, because it's not going to make a dent. It's going to make a dent. So yeah, you want to be in a position where your habits are pretty much, don't strive to be perfect, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. And it's a recipe for failure, because you're going to be so disappointed, because you're not going to be 100%. Nobody is. None of us ever will be. Um, yeah, I know, like that's big, right? With, you know, Hispanic food, there's a lot of sugar involved in that, right? Um, I love sugar. Everybody does. It's really, it works on the same reward system as heroin, to be honest with you. So it's very addicting, and it's good. You know, it's not good for you in excess. Poison's always in the dose. Um, but the problem with it is, we're addicted to it, and we eat so much of it. If it had some nutritional value or some benefit to the body, then it would lessen the blow a little bit. Um, but there's no nutrition to be had from it. It's very addicting. Um, it causes all sorts of chronic issues in excess. Um, so yeah, it's bad stuff. That's good, Fresh. My daughter's like that too. She was, growing up, she was never into chocolates and sweets and anything like it. It was funny because most kids are, because they start getting it from an early age, and it's again, it's addicting, right? But good on you for not doing that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Well, that's a superpower. If you could stave off that stuff and not be drawn into it and fall prey to that, that's good. That's really good. Because again, it's not, once in a while you won't have a piece of candy. We don't do that. We don't do that. I know me, if I open up a sleeve of Oreo cookies, 5 minutes, they're gone. There's nothing left but some crumbs. And I'm going to suck those up off the table too. Very, very addicting. Everything fresh. All processed foods has some type of sugar in it, and regardless of what, and the package may not say sugar per se. High fructose corn syrup, there's, what is it? I don't know, it's over 60, 70 names now that they use for sugar to sneak it in. A lot of things will have maltodextrin in it. I mean, you name it. There's so many names that for different types of sugar, but it's in everything. It's in everything. You look at a pack of whole wheat bread. You look at a pack of whole wheat bread, uh, and you'll see in there they'll put sugar, honey, high fructose corn syrup in bread, in a slice of bread. Why? What is that doing in bread? You know, um, but like we always talk about, it's the bliss point, right? All this processed food, all the research goes into finding the right combination of sweetness with the sugar, with the salt, the texture of the food, right? And it's all by design when they make this stuff. At the end of the day, they're in the business of making money, making cheap food. It's not even food. They're making cheap stuff that we think is food and maximizing their profits. And how do they do that? By keeping us eating constantly. And we do. We all do. Yeah, it's yeah, fresh. That's the other thing. A lot of people will tell you, well, no, I eat this because it's a healthy sugar or it's a natural sugar. That's what he calls it, natural sugar. I don't put sugar in my coffee. I put honey in my coffee because it's natural sugar. Well, if you're an otherwise healthy person, and again, we'll talk about honey. That's a rabbit hole we won't even bother going down because it's late right now. But you go a bottle of store bought honey. You go into any supermarket and buy honey. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know what you get. You get a bottle of pasteurized. First of all, it's all pasteurized. So they're destroying any beneficial bacteria, any beneficial enzymes in it. And then what they'll actually do is after they pasteurize it and destroy it, then they actually add in high fructose corn syrup to make it sweeter, to make honey even sweeter, right? But if you're gonna go right, if you know somebody that has a beehive and you're gonna go there and scrape that honey off the hive, and it's a place that's near where you live, yeah, there could be some health benefits garnered from it. There's a lot of good things that they say about honey, but in moderation. Why not? If you're an otherwise healthy person, uh, and talk about maple syrup, real maple syrup, real actual maple syrup, right? That you put a tap in and get it right out of the tree or whatever. Um, you're going to be fine. But the problem is that we eat ourselves to into sickness, and you can't take a type 2 diabetic, somebody who's got chronically high sugar, chronically high insulin levels, right? Who's got fatty liver, and then tell them don't eat sugar, eat honey and maple syrup and you can't do it because at that, even eating fruit. I'm not saying fruit's inherently unhealthy, but if you're sick, if you're metabolically sick, and you think you're going to fix yourself and say, no, 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 I'm a diabetic. I don't eat chocolate bars. I eat bananas. It's one and the same when you're in that condition. Now, if you start off as a healthy person and your diet consists of fruit, a little bit of honey, some maple syrup, whole foods, you're not going to eat yourself into sickness. It's going to be near impossible to do that. But the point that I try to make with people is, and I get a lot of pushback on it, if you're metabolically sick already, if you're diabetic and you have heart conditions and you have fatty liver and you have all these other things going on, and you think you're going to eat your way out of it because now I don't eat sugar, I only drink real orange juice, which is a straight shot of sugar. I only eat fruit, which when you're sick, when you're metabolically sick, your body sees it's sugar, no matter where it comes from. There's no such thing as it's a natural sugar, so I'm okay. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the ghee, but again, wild honey, right? Fresh. We're talking about wild honey. Like I said, if you go to a farm or you know somebody that has hives and you're getting real honey in a jar from somebody. But to go to Walmart or any supermarket and buy that bullshit that you see on the shelves, God only knows what you're getting in that bottle. It's not good for the most part. I promise you that it's not good. And I'm a big proponent of the shorties on the put. As a matter of fact, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? Friend of ours, Rep Master. He's got a channel on YouTube, Rep Master. He's based out in Chicago, and he joined up with us, myself, Gusto from the Game Bros channel, my friend Aldo from Crusades of Motivation, uh, Osiris, my friend Osiris, who's based out in California. We did a Sunday morning workout, and it was a push-up workout, and it was a combination of full range and short range, and it was a beast. My arms were like spaghetti for a couple of hours after that. But yet, it's definitely a place. These people that tell you, you know, everything's got to be full, even with pull-ups, even any exercise you do, there's a place for short range of motion. Do you want to do that all the time? Maybe, maybe not. But there's definitely, if anybody tells you you're not going to get one of the things, right? One of the principles is time under tension, time under tension, right? So think about it. If I do a full range push up and I come all the way up and lock, let's say, lock my arms out for that split second, I'm taking the tension off. Or let's say I'm doing a bicep curl and I do shorties right in here and I stay right in here and do the reps in here. You're telling me you're not going to, your muscle is contracted the entire time. And you see all the time people will do, I'm going to stick with the bicep curls. You drop your arms all the way down, you're taking the tension off that muscle. And again, when I come up to the top, you'll see guys bring it all the way up, and for that split second, you'll be here. Now, if I'm holding on to a couple of dumbbells or a barbell and I have it up here and my arms, my elbows are completely, I could stand here and probably talk to you for a couple of seconds, right? On the flip side, if I hold that barbell right here, right in the center, all the tension is on my bicep. I'm not going to be able to stand there for too long and talk to you. Definitely, the bottom line is absolutely, I think you should incorporate the shorties with everything. Yeah, fresh. I go with the kefir. I get some fermented pickles. there's um there's one specific brand of pickles, but when you get the pickles, you don't want to go and get the Vlasic that are on the shelf. And if it's not, basically all you want to see on that jar is just the pickles and the brine. You know, the salt. You want to see pickles and salt. Nothing else. None of the other chemicals. But if they're not refrigerated, if they're sitting on a shelf, a lot of those are going to have sugar and vinegar and stuff like that, and that's not a fermented pickle. So that's really, you're not going to get any benefit from that. And people talk about, drinking the pickle juice. They'll buy pickles off the shelf, the Vlasic pickles or whatever the other store bought, the store brand pickles, and they're drinking that as if there's some health benefit to it. There's not. There's really not. You want that brine. You want true, fermented pickles. So for me, it's the kimchi. I eat the kimchi pretty regularly, if not every day. A few days a week for sure. With one of my meals, the fermented pickles, the kefir, Icelandic yogurt, Greek yogurt, and things like that. You're right, Anthony. Everybody wants to be an expert, and everybody thinks this is the only way. The way I do it is the right way. And bro, you're only doing a half a rep. Bullshit. Your muscles are under tension. You're breaking down muscle tissue when you when you're doing that. There's definitely a place for them. I would suggest you incorporate any exercise that you can incorporate a shorter range of motion. Again, do you want to do every single set like that? Probably not. Mix it up. It all has a benefit. It all has some type of benefit. Yeah, well, yeah, you do your drop sets, right? You're legitimately going to get to exhaustion doing that. But whether you want to call it a drop set or a strip set, sometimes what I'll do is, one strategy I had was, so you'll start off with a lighter weight. Say you do a set of 15. Next set, you'll bump up the weight a little bit, do 12. Next set, you'll do 8. You'll bump up the weight again and do 8. Uh, and then you're pretty cooked by then. But what you do is, after that eighth rep on that third set, you drop that heavy weight, you go back to that original weight immediately and bang out another 8 reps there. And that's a good strategy there. Or you could just, say you're on the bench, let's say you're doing a barbell bench press. Um, you hit your last set, and then you just start stripping the weight off and just keep going until you're completely exhausted. That's a great strategy too. So yeah, again, it's The sky's the limit, guys. You can come up with anything. And for somebody to tell you what you're doing has no benefit, you know, I can't listen to it. I really can't listen. It's just ignorant. It's arrogant. Um, I like to hit. I have a little speed bag in my basement in my garage. I've been doing that for years. And for me, it's just cathartic. I love doing it. I'll put some music on and I'll just stand there and hit the speed bag, you know. And I put up a YouTube short some time back, and I put, where I was hitting the bag, and somebody put, "This is the most useless exercise I've ever seen." First of all, it's not. It's good for hand-eye coordination. It works your shoulders, and but if nothing else, even if it had no physical benefits, it has a mental benefit. So it's not useless. It's something I like. It's something that I enjoy doing, and it's not an unhealthy habit. So I'm going to do it. If it's useless to you, that's your opinion. But for you to just get on there and say, that's the most useless exercise I've ever seen, or whatever that there is, you're basically just an asshole. Let's cut to the chase, right? Guys, do what you want to do what's sustainable for you, as long as it's keeping you healthy, whether it's in a physical, a mental, an emotional way, whatever. If it's benefiting you, don't you give a fuck about what anybody thinks. Anthony, if you want to do your shorties every single day and you feel you're getting a good pump, you feel you're getting a benefit, do it. Fuck what everybody thinks. That's the other thing. We're all, it's ingrained in us. We all want to be accepted. We don't want to stand out. We want to kind of blend in with the crowd because it's more comfortable. We don't want to be that outlier. Be that guy, right? Do everything you can. Do everything you can to separate yourself from the pack in some way, shape, or form. Because I tell you this for a fact, the vast majority of people are doing it wrong. And if you're doing it like everybody else, you're probably doing it wrong too. Fresh, lunges, I guess. Yeah, lunges. Front end for forward. Uh, I'll do walking lunges and then some rear lunges. Break it up that way. I like to do static lunges too, where maybe you've seen me doing them. I even do them body weight, where you just kind of get into a lunge position and you kind of pulse up and down, switch legs. Uh, that hits that quad pretty good too. But pretty much lunges. But yeah, guys, separate yourselves. Be different. Don't be. Don't blend in with the pack. Always be the guy that you separate yourself. You know, do something different. It doesn't take any work to be a part of the pack. It doesn't take any work to be uh, to blend in. It takes effort. It takes work. It takes self-discipline, right? To separate, and you have to. And when you do that, you're going to build even more self-esteem. Don't be with everybody else. Separate yourself. All right, guys. It's getting a little late. I just figured, like I said, I figured I'd pop on, see who was around. I'm glad you guys popped in. I'm glad you were here. I appreciate everybody that was here, and I always appreciate the feedback, the back and forth with you guys, the positive energy. Um, yeah, so keep yourselves healthy, guys. That's the main thing. Do the right thing for yourselves. Separate yourselves from the pack. Make sure you get your reps in. Stay safe, stay healthy. Again, thank you to everybody. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Everybody, have a good night.